Hello. Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Roberto Hernández, profesor del periodismo digital de la Universidad de California del Sur, y cada vez que hablo en iSearch comienzo en español para que los gringos se ponen todos pánicos. So I'm starting off the conference. You got to Google it, Google Translate, get a bot, catch up with that joke. I'm starting off our incredible panel with kind of setting the table. It's time. It's time. This is my third time speaking at iSearch, and I spoke in 2015. And as I was preparing for these slides, there's a similar theme that I've been talking about for a while. And I usually have about 3-4 slides that are my standard slides. This one is one where I usually ask audience participation to point out how we've just adopted technology at a faster rate. There's a bot for that. We're going to do a bot. I'm Team Mystic now. I'm Team Mystic throwing Pokeballs at an augmented reality place. We're just adopting technology at a faster rate than ever before. It's not good or bad. It just is. We see that evolution in technology where a computer's gotten from a mainframe computer to a desktop, to a laptop, to our smartphones, and to our bodies, right? That's the evolution you see with other technologies. Smaller, cheaper, faster, more features. We also have this stat, which is, I don't know how many years old it is now, but it's 91% of Americans have their mobile device within arm's reach 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is international. This isn't just American. And 91%, I think, is pessimistic. Raise your hand if you were awakened by your cell phone as your alarm clock today, right? It's the first thing you look at when you wake up. It's the last thing you look at when you go to sleep. And somehow we're still married. This is our reality, right? These are slides that I used in 2015. But the narrative is, well, if we continue to understand mobile first, the evolution of technology, the adoption rate, well, we're not done iterating with these form factors. So the question is, what is next, right? When I first talked about this, it was Google Glass. No, it wasn't. But my premise has been for a few years, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, whatever term you want to use, that is coming. That is coming. And I said this during a talk at NICAR in 2015, that VR is for reals. And I brought that slide up when I gave my talk in 2015, and here's a photo of me saying it's for reals 2 years ago. But when I gladiator fight, this was the landscape of head-mounted displays and cameras. This is the landscape now. It has exploded in every which way or form, from low-end to high-end production, from video to CG, 3D, to consumption, whether it's head-mounted displays using the Oculus Rift or HTC Vive, or something low-end like the Google Cardboard or the ViewMaster. It's just that whole spectrum of immersive content being produced. This is a slide from 2015 where I showed a couple of examples. These are the brands that are doing nonfiction journalism, nonfiction storytelling, immersive storytelling now. And they keep growing and growing and growing. Get these apps. These are, again, a lot of leading developers. And again, I can keep adding more apps to them. For those who heard the announcements as well, in addition to journalism organizations producing, it's being backed by the infrastructure with Facebook and YouTube and Vimeo announced during South by Southwest. Facebook is announcing a push into augmented reality. We'll see how real that is. They're developing cameras, a whole ecosystem, probably because they want an ROI on their investment to Oculus. If you want more information, I have a tip sheet that I routinely update. I'm due to give it another refresh. It's a good way to find out the latest prices on cameras, software, where to start, and some other resources. Since I spoke about this 2 years ago, lots of things have happened. Journalism 360 has launched, which is a partnership between the Google News Lab, the Knight Foundation, and the Online News Association. Their first iteration is giving grants out. Several hundreds from around the world have applied to get access to these grants. The mission of Journalism 360 is to advance, develop, and support immersive journalism in our newsrooms. Another thing that I've done with, I have to give it a shout out because Rosenthal told me I was going to do it, and you don't say no to Rosenthal ever, was a MOOC. Intro to Immersive Journalism. I did a class for the Journalism in the Americas. That just concluded, and that was pretty successful. On a personal note, I'm launching Immersive Shooter with some colleagues, launching at NAB next week, where we're going to be covering the emerging community of cameras, hardware, software for immersive journalists, for content creators of the community, for the community. And then the point of the stuff that we've developed a lot is journalism, now trademarked. It's journalism, but with a V instead of a U. It's projects that my students and I have done where we worked with ProPublica, the Texas Tribune, the New York Times, NPR, covering their inauguration, covering some investigations. Currently, we're working with the Desert Sun, doing a piece about the Salton Sea. We have an app that you can download in iOS and Android. But what's next, right? I talked about this a couple years ago, and sure, I've done and caught you up on some stuff. Snapchat Spectacles, that was kind of neat. It's happening right now. But we may have heard about Magic Leap, which has been talked about for some time. A $500 million investment from Google. Is it hype? Is it real? They just retweeted an article about light fields. This is the technology that you need to keep your eye out on for. Just to kind of give you context, that didn't just magically happen. In theory, every one of those kids has these glasses, has a head-mounted display. Will we get to that reality? We'll find out. This is another piece of technology I want you to be aware of, photogrammetry and videogrammetry. This is getting actual people in that cylinder. You see that kind of green screen room there. And the cameras start recording them, and they create not an artist rendering, but an accurate rendition of who they are, a hologram, if you will. These are Maori guys doing a chant, and that's them. This is from HoloLens. This is the future that's happening now. This is Kenny. Kenny was inmate from solitary confinement. He's featured in a story in a partnership between Frontline and Emblematic, which is Noni de la Peña's outfit doing immersive journalism. They brought Kenny into this studio, and he talked about his life in solitary confinement. Their piece just released. You can actually see it on their website and through Facebook, where they scanned in the solitary. That's not a photo. That's not a photo up there. That is a scan of the solitary confinement cell that they put you in, and you share that space with Kenny as he tells you about his life in solitary confinement. You hold space. You hold presence with Kenny. That future is here. This is another thing that I saw recently. I saw this ad and video about this harness that it's a full body suit that allows you to interact with the virtual world. And I saw that and I thought, this is bullshit. Then I got contacted by the company and said, would you like to come do a demo? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do a demo. There's not a full body suit, but they have this magic box. You put your hand in. Their first iteration is probably going to be a glove. And with air pressure, you feel the virtual world. Here I am, feeling a spider on my hand.
Don't move. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You feel all weight in his legs?
I felt an apple. I felt a ketchup bottle.
Yes.
It felt like it was in my hand, and that creepy spider lifted its legs at me and scared the crap out of me. A whole bunch of nope. So that's happening. So the question is, with all these technologies, what is this new form of journalism? Our panelists are going to talk about that, but the bottom line is a good story is a good story. And the way do we get, regardless of media or form factor, a good story is a good story. And how do we get there? Well, we're going to have to experiment. We're going to have to practice, and we're going to have to fail. As you go out in this space and venture and experiment, just because you produce does not mean you have to publish. I'm going to say that again. Just because you produced a bot or an immersive experience doesn't mean you have to publish, because it may not be good enough yet. But it's time. It's time for us to lead the next disruption. Cool. Thank you, guys.